Welcome to today's lesson, Garbology. Our lesson today will be followed by an activity with Dylan. The materials for your activity are a plastic baggie filled with soil, and the rest are all things that you can collect at home. Before we do our activity, we have quite a few things to learn. First, we will learn about what types of things decompose. We'll learn how they decompose, and then we will make predictions about our decomposition experiment. Let's start with the vocab. As I go through each word, remember to take notes in your garden journal. You can even draw pictures to make your notes more fun. Our first word, microorganisms, are tiny organisms that you can't see without a microscope, like eensy-weensy little bugs that you can't see. Decomposition is when organic material breaks down to make soil, and this can be helped by microorganisms and fungi. The living things that help to break down plant and animal matter into smaller pieces are called decomposers. They can be microorganisms or things you can see, like insects. Organic material is anything that was once living. Examples are fallen leaves or branches, or even leftover food or decomposing animals. Composting is an amazing way that humans can set up a situation for decomposition to happen. This can make the process of turning organic material into compost and soil faster. Let's look at how traditional composting works. First, we start with our greens. Our greens are things that are fresh, like food scraps or lawn clippings, and they're really high in nitrogen. Then we collect up our browns. Our browns are dead and dried out organic matter, like old leaves, straw, paper, or sometimes even bark and branches. Next, we make a big pile of our greens and browns. But we make sure to put 3 times as many browns as we do greens. Do you know what that's called? A ratio. The next part is easy. We can sit back and relax while the sun heats the pile, the decomposers and the microorganisms do their job of breaking down the organic material. And you know what the coolest part is? The pile gets steaming hot, and all of that heat is coming from the tiny microorganisms that you can't even see. They're working so hard that all their tiny body heats build up to make the pile super hot. Every once in a while, we like to turn our pile to get some fresh air inside. We can add some water if it's looking a little dry. And hopefully it won't get stinky at all because it will be decomposing properly. After a couple months, when it's all done composting, what do you think we're left with? That's right, compost. Compost can be used as amazing fertilizer for our plants. Now let's define the word fertilizer. Fertilizer is any form of added nutrients to help plants grow. Predictions are a statement about what might happen in the future. Predictions are important in science because we use predictions to help us think about what might happen in an experiment and then figure out what the truth is. All right, now it's time to do what we learned about. We're going to make some compost in a bag with Dylan and make some predictions about what might happen.
Welcome everybody to Los Ranchos Elementary School's Bountiful School Garden. Today I'm going to be taking you all through an experiment about garbage, and we're going to see what decomposes over time. So in today's experiment, all we're going to need is our compost in a bag prediction sheet, our little Ziploc bag from our mini greenhouse lesson, and some soil, and then our spray bottle, and some various organic and inorganic materials. And I've already gone ahead and taken my greenhouse bag off of my little plant and filled it with some soil, so you can do the same. Alright, so now that we have our little baggie full of soil, halfway full of soil, I'm going to start adding my organic materials. And remember, organic is going to be something that was once living. And so inspired by our corn, I have some of the corn leaf. I have some lemon peels, a piece of bread. I'm going to put this whole thing in there. A little slice of mango, and let's see, a piece of wood chip that I picked up from the ground here. And my last organic thing is a hot Cheeto, and you'll all have to tell me if this is actually something that was once living or not. So now that we have our organic materials added to our bag, next step we're going to add our inorganic materials. And you can put rocks and different things like that, but today I actually found some little pieces of trash that I found actually on our different school campuses. So you might remember that from our watershed lesson, these different little materials can make their way into our local waterways. And so we're going to see if they actually decompose in our little experiment. So I have my last little item is going to be another kind of candy wrapper, a little granola bar wrapper. And I have this piece of string that I found as well. It looks like it's decomposing, so we'll see if it actually does. And now that I have our inorganic and organic materials in here, I'm going to take our spray bottle. I'm just going to give it a few squirts of water. You don't need to get it soaking wet, but a few squirts in there. And close it up nice and tight. Be sure you do close it tight. You might need some parental help for this one. And then you're going to mix up your bag so everything can get nice and mixed, nice and together. And just like that, we have our compost in the bag, all our materials added. So we're going to let this sit for 30 days. And the last thing we need to do is fill in our compost prediction worksheet. Okay, you can see here my compost in a bag prediction sheet, and our left column says item. So I put all the different items that I put in my little plastic bag. You can see here as well, I put organic and inorganic. I labeled which ones were which, but that's an optional part. And then it's will it decompose, yes or no, and then why. So your hypothesis, why do you think some of these items might decompose? So I did want to bring your attention to some of my maybe controversial hypotheses, but my lemon peel, I said it wouldn't decompose because it has citric acid. The hot Cheeto, I don't think it's going to decompose either because it has a lot of chemicals, but I might be wrong. And then the last one, I actually put our bag that our experiment is taking place in, I put it here at the bottom, and I said yes, it will decompose because it said it is a compostable bag. So after 30 days, we'll see if which hypotheses are correct. Well, thank you everybody for joining me again in Los Ranchos Elementary School's beautiful school garden. I wanted to remind you that day 15, you're going to open up your little compost bag and make some observations and put them in your garden journal. I do want to let you all know that we are studying decomposition in this bag, so be careful when you open it up. It might have a little bit of a smell to it, but thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all next week when we talk about the different colors of foods and how they support your body.